currently there's a statute that restricts county attorneys from carrying firearms while on duty. This bill, House File 1829, would change that and allow county attorneys to carry. I'm going to let the I've been blessed with a whole bevy of attorneys behind me that are actually going to speak to the bill and explain it, and they can do it in a lot better detail and the reasons why and wherefore. The interesting thing about this bill is some people think, been somewhat accused of having a knee-jerk reaction to a problem up in northern Minnesota, but actually this bill came to me in written form some 5 days before the assault took place up in Cook County. And while we were considering it and looking at the language, and the attorneys were expressing their concern how dangerous the atmosphere and environment was in our courts, family court, divorce court, any kind of court right now with the volatility there, this unfortunate tragic happening occurred in Cook County, and Mr. Scanlon, the attorney that was assaulted, will also be here to testify on either bill he wishes, but I think the second bill that we take up. So one thing I want to clarify also is there seemed to be some concern about the definition of on duty, and people were worried about that. We'll cover that. We don't really want to make any definitions of on duty and be restrictive on it, because a county attorney or prosecutor, assistant county attorney could be on duty in a duck boat. If he gets a phone call, it could be on duty at a seminar sponsored by the county or sent there at their expense. He could be on duty or he or she anywhere in the state. And so if we start seeing in the workplace or language like that, we're just going to mess everything up. The other thing I wanted to clarify is this bill doesn't restrict the judges from restricting firearms in their arena. All this addresses is simply the county attorney's ability to carry on duty. It does not supersede or trump the judge's ability to restrict firearms in the courtroom.
This is a pretty modest bill. The bill that's before you would give county attorneys and assistant county attorneys the same carry rights as currently enjoyed by the public defenders, the court administrator and the court administrator staff, judicial law clerks, and the private bar. So it's not really something beyond that. When I first went into county attorney work back in 1981 and became aware that there's a restriction for county attorneys and assistants to carry on duty, it was kind of annoying, the fact that we were treated subservient to public defenders, but it really didn't become an important issue to me until an experience that one of my assistants had back in 2007, and that assistant, Chris Rovney, is here, and he'll be testifying right after me. This bill is about, in my opinion, personal safety, not courtroom security. Some people said, oh, it means you're going to be carrying guns while in the courtroom, going to be wearing a gun while you're giving a closing argument. Well, the public defenders aren't doing that now. The court administrators aren't carrying in the courthouse now. The judicial law clerks aren't carrying in the courthouse now. The private bar isn't doing it either. And again, what we're simply asking for is the same rights that those individuals have.
My name is Christopher Rovney. I'm an assistant Blue Earth County attorney. I am the attorney that Mr. Arneson talked about, who had the, I guess, the contract at the time taken out on his life. Just as, first off, I'd like to thank the chairman and the rest of the committee for having us and listening to us today. The important thing I want to stress is that before I get into what happened in my case is that this bill doesn't ask us, we're not asking for any greater rights than any other citizen in the state of Minnesota has. We're just asking for parity. That's all we want. And it's especially important when you have a group of people like assistant county attorneys or prosecutors that because of their profession are put into a more dangerous situation just because of the people that they meet, the people that they have contact with. And one of the people that I had contact with was a gentleman named Leonard Cook. He was a drug dealer. His nickname was Cosmo. He wanted to be a rapper. And I was prosecuting him for a first-degree controlled substance crime. He was selling a lot of crack cocaine in the city of Mankato. And I'm an optimist, so I assume I was doing too good of a job on his case. So he decided to talk with someone and arrange and conspire with that person to shoot me and kill me. He wanted to kill me, he wanted to kill the judge, and he also wanted to kill the head of the drug task force that was involved in this case. Luckily, as with most criminals, they're sometimes not that intelligent, and the person he was conspiring with was a confidential informant with the police. He had been released on bail, and he was in Wisconsin, and the person that he conspired with to try to assassinate me was working with the authorities over there. What was particularly troublesome is that he had me, the judge, and the head of the drug task force under surveillance. He knew where we lived. He knew our schedules. And that all came out when he talked to the confidential informant, who later informed police of the plot. And so this is a situation where we were under surveillance, and he could have attacked us at any time. And thankfully, he got caught, and the person that he talked to was a confidential informant. But we did not know if he talked to anyone else. We didn't know if he had been in discussions with other people. This particular person had a lot of gang affiliations. And he was from Chicago, and I don't know what particular gang at this point, I can't remember, but it's very likely he could have talked to other people. And he was talking about buying 9mm machine guns, to use those against us. He had a whole plan. And thankfully, the person that he initially conspired with was working with the police. Otherwise, he may have been successful. And at the time, our offices were away from the courthouse. And we had to walk a block or two to get to court. So we were exposed during that time. We were exposed when we come to our homes. We come to work, when we're out at the grocery store. And the point was made that technically at this point, if I am out on a weekend and I get a phone call and I have my gun on me, I technically have to take the gun off and then answer the phone if it's from the police. And that's kind of an absurd result. But, you know, we take our jobs very seriously. We believe and we try to do what's right, follow the law. And in this particular situation, the law as it is now, for lack of a better word, is discriminatory towards county attorneys because we do not have the same rights as other citizens. And it's particularly sad because by virtue of what we do for a living, we're put in an elevated, I guess, zone of danger. And basically all we're asking, and all this bill asks for, is parity with the rest of the citizens in the state. And that's nothing more, nothing less. And I just appreciate having the opportunity to talk to you about that.